Hello, everybody. Welcome in today's live. I'm not quite sure now if it's the fourth or the fifth. Definitely, it's one of the great episodes we have on bioremediation today. Filip Kurek is again with us, the CEO and also a leading person in this company. Bioseptic is helping businesses, municipalities all around the world managing their water and also waste or potentially problems with soil with using or with the application of bacteria. So we have a very nice series on different topics because the application of bacteria is just so diverse. It's always great to kind of, leverage this natural technology, natural mechanism to be sustainable, be more efficient, and of course also reduce your costs. If you work today, we have a session specifically looking at food or food production. We will be talking a lot about the water that you utilize in your facilities, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a bar, whether it's a hotel. So all of this can impact you heavily. And there is also some frameworks around it in terms of regulation and the quality of water that you can discharge and release. So this is also maybe something that is kind of limiting you and something to be aware of as well. So with this, Philip, if that is okay for you, I would hand over to you. What's the key message that you would like to share today? Sorry.
Well, thank you for having me here again. And
Always,
yes,
always
to answer your first question, key message is work smart, not hard, and work effectively. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's deep dive on that. So today it's going to be about water and the food elements. Hospitality, it's the interesting
Yes.
part. Great.
Yes. So today we talk about we call it bioremediation and food. So yeah, it's again water and food elements. Let's call it. I'll be talking about basically everything from hotels, restaurants, some food production companies and stuff as well. So whatever I stepped on in my career and I had some experience with. So I'll just start sharing, and please let me know if you can see the presentation now.
We see it now. Just last comment from my side.
Okay.
So we have 15 minutes. Then we cut you off and we
Yeah.
leave some space for the questions.
We'll be quick, but we have a lot of pictures today, so yeah, it will be. The presentation is not the shortest, but yeah, it will be nice. So yeah, so let's start with it. So bioremediation and food today. So what we are talking about in this topic is removal of organic waste and pollution with the lowest possible headcount and labor. So it means uh, as few people as possible, as much effectivity as possible, and also reduce the time to minimum, possible minimum. So it's pretty simple, like you can see. We just do something into a pipeline or wherever our point is, and that's it. That's done. So we'll talk about some applications. You can see here some drainage, urinals, showers, whatever kind of piping. This one is grease pipe in one fast food chain in Slovakia. Actually, we were treating it there. We'll be continuing soon. This pipe is not in the ground. This is in the wall, as you can see here. The problem is grease in this case. It's difficult to take photos of these things, and it's even more difficult to clean them if they are not, somehow put. They are horizontal, so that's pretty much of a challenge typically. Then we have a grease trap from the pipe behind. We are going to the grease trap further, so that's how grease trap can look like. This is just one example. This is kind of better looking, I would say. You can see a lot of grease. The function of this thing is that basically we don't want to put full grease into the sewers, into the city or wherever. So we just put some obstacle into the path of grease, and this thing basically stops the grease inside of it, and water goes through. So it can look like this as well. This is another grease trap. Uh, the layer of grease can be pretty thick and high. This can be half a meter huge, maybe more. It typically smells horribly. This smells worse than the other one because here we can see some water. From the water, there's a lot of smell coming from down there. And here, when we have full crust, then okay, we don't have so much smell. But whatever happens later is that the lid, we can see on the left side, the lid will explode at some time if the grease just builds up. It will go up to the top, and then the lid will just go off because the grease will pull it out. It's pretty interesting to see that happening, and it's a catastrophe for everyone when this happens. So yeah, you have to take care of it. This is milk production factory actually. What we can see there is a pump station or a lift station. So they basically have the water. They just put it into this. Everything flows there, and the pumps pump the water later into the sewers, the city sewers, and then they go to the treatment plant. What we can see is a lot of grease on top as well. The water is white, of course, from milk and production. There is a lot of yeast and whatever else. There is also whey. Whey is used in cheese production, and it's very fibrous and full of whatever nutrients. It's not good for water, so it can look like this as well. This is aerated sometimes, but yeah, they don't work very effectively there. So yeah, this is another lift station or pump station, but this one is for oil, and there is everything from gas to whatever kind of oils, lubricants. This was in a train station, so yeah, there is some repairs, cleaning, and everything of the trains. Here is another lift station. This one is for restaurant, and it's a pumping. They basically pump the water uh, from the restaurant somewhere else. Again, it catches some kind of grease, but not all of that. And here we are coming to sewer. Sewers are very interesting because sewers, this is how they can look like when we don't treat the grease on. Hope you can see my mouse there at the back. You can see the grease flowing into the sewers. Here we have a better close-up of that. It's full. It's just full of grease and unbelievably dirty. It's posing a huge threat to sewer system, to pumps, to every machinery and equipment they have there. So this is what it typically looks like under the ground in the cities and yeah, wherever people live. This is a small treatment plant. Again, the application can be here as well. Small treatment plants, typically in some remote hotels, cottages, wherever we can look. And they pose a threat for the environment when they are not treated well or they are not effective. In this case, we can see some, again, not working. Smaller one, yeah, a lot of sludge, a lot of whatever. Typically, restaurants and cottages have a lot of them. So next we have some lakes are also interesting. Here we can see a lot of algae, a lot of dirt. This is made by phosphorus, but again, it can be application in food sector. Either the lake, this one is for just for fish, for some recreation, but we talked before about lakes with fish that are being grown for food. So same problem, same application like here. Aquariums. This is our client with restaurant. It's pretty big aquarium, but it doesn't work very well. We were treating it again because there were a lot of algae, not enough plants because fish just eat them out and pick them off. So they cannot survive pretty well. And yeah, this is kind of after the treatment, after the initial treatment, after 2 weeks or whatever, it's better, but you can see some algae in this part on the left, on the right, still on the walls and somewhere. So yeah, not working very well, but yeah, it's better than it was before. Now we'll talk about some solutions. So you can see here, yeah, the solution is simple. There is something inside and there is nothing inside in the end. So this is a grease trap when we started at some point. This is a grease trap after we use it for around 3 weeks or a month. You can see the differences. That here we can see a lot of grease. The water is pretty dirty and it's smelly. There's a thick layer, but after some time there is just water. That's the ideal result. That we have only water and nothing else there. So everything works fine and it's good. This is a urinal pipe. Uric acid is a huge, extreme problem because basically when you have kidney stones or uric stones, That's the same thing that we get in urinals and piping. It's same mineral, and the uric acid is crystallizing. This is basically a bunch of crystals smacked together, and they make this kind of pipe inside of a pipe, and this is happening pretty much everywhere with grease, with any kind of debris or waste. And you just get a pipe that is half meter in diameter, and then you end up with 2 centimeters after half a year or whatever. In Greece, this is much faster. Yeah, uric acid takes 1 month to look like this, typically 1 month to 6 weeks maybe, but typically just 4 weeks is enough. And this is after we treat it after 1 month. We've been treating in one food chain again on the highway to Prague. After 3 weeks, it just all fell down and crumbled and was washed away. So this is how we look like after 3 weeks to 1 month. From this to this, we started with a clogged urinals. Of course, there's a lot of people, couple of thousand per day. So it was pretty good example. It was just trial. So yeah, we had to pick up something very difficult. For the This is one customer with lake. Lake, of course, when there is a lot of phosphorus or whatever is not working there, we get a lot of algae. Algae has different forms. It can be a layer on the top, like we spoke about before. It can look like this. This is something like a cottonish type of algae, let's say. There's some pillows of algae in the water, and he was pretty satisfied because the result is this. The algae part was here on the left side. This is a filter, and here in those gravels and stuff, everything was just dead. And also those plants were burnt from ammonia. We reduced it, so this is the part you can see those gravels there and the entrance, and that's the same thing, yeah, after month 4 or month and a half. So these are examples that we can show. What are the benefits for the food sector? Basically, saving money, less work, and more time for employees to do other things. Um, and that would be everything from my side for now. So that was the presentation,
Mhm.
and yeah, and we'll talk about everything further now. So I just don't want to waste time. Just wanting to show some examples, and then now we can talk about direct
So
applications and stuff.
hey, it's always such a great exchange, and we at Frogeex we also love this case studies where we see the results, where we see how really the solution, the application of the material works, and what does it mean. So you showed us this greasy example, or the creation of this problem. So, what is a typical restaurant that has high risks in this sphere? Maybe I just start with this because I
Yeah.
have a series of questions around the case study that you showed us. If you would like to go back to that, it would be amazing just to pull up the image of this like dark, grease when then it was converted into water, or clean, purified.
Okay,
And
just tell me which one we're talking about. Greece now, yeah.
it was grease. It was grease. The
So we can
the
talk about these grease traps, yeah, here,
exactly further, a little
or
bit further. Yeah.
here. Yeah, this one and
Yes,
this one.
this was the one
Water and
exactly.
grease. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So maybe
Okay.
you can share with us. I mean, this type of water is discharged, but by what type of restaurants? Who is kind of using? I mean, who has this biggest risk? I mean,
Everyone. This is
is it like
basically everywhere. Of course, there's maybe more grease when you fry a lot, but I go a lot through the countries and cities and wherever, and I see. I like to eat. Of course, everyone is eating. Yeah, we want to survive somehow. So I see that a lot of people are frying now, and there's like 80% of basic food for normal people is fried, and that's a huge thing. I know that this is not the case. This thing we see here. This is not the case that all the oil from frying is going into the sewer.
mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm,
pick it up. They have typically restaurants have inner grease traps that are some smaller boxes, whatever. They pre-catch the grease. The water goes further, and then there are these big grease traps there again. But this is after those smaller ones. Yeah, this is not that we put full grease into the water and that's how it looks like. There's grease everywhere, on plates, on knives, on whatever equipment you're using. They are on the floor. They just spread into the air. When you're frying, then you clean the walls. Then it goes down to the drain. So this is not a full blown grease. I would say that we just spill oil into the sewer. These are small jobs, and they make so much. After some time, it's just crazy how much grease there is everywhere. Even if you catch it up and throw it into the bin or special type of containers.
Wow.
So,
And
yeah,
so, would you have any information? How long does it take to have a status like this? I mean, is it like a half year
yeah.
operations running, or
So
you
from
have
this to
from
this,
that? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the question. Okay, so
No,
from
the
this,
first one,
uh,
and then
hold on.
the following would be, pardon me, and the following would be around the solution, because I have a question also around that. So, how long does it take until the problem is visible like this? Until somebody calls you and say, "Hey, we seem to have a problem with water," or how do they get to this? I mean, why do people contact you? Do
Yeah,
they realize it, or how does it work?
yeah, yeah. So okay, so basically we start with at some point, yeah, when we begin, we start with this, but better. Yeah, there's clean water at the beginning. Yeah, when we get from clean water or from clean grease trap to this, it takes 2 weeks to a month. That's the time when this gets full. After that time, we typically pump it out with some kind of pump. The cars, special cars are coming, pump it out. For us to get from this to this, it takes around 3 weeks to month.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time we need for smaller grease traps or bigger ones or whatever. Yeah, around month. When we are treating some bigger stuff like treatment plants and some huge
Mm-hmm.
systems that collect a lot of water,
Mm-hmm.
it takes 1 month to 3 months typically. After 3 months, we can see the result that we like. We like it to be very clean, very well working.
Mm-hmm.
So these are our results. But this is simple. And these are pretty simple. You just don't need too much of advice. You just need to know some dosages and whatever. We just
Mm-hmm.
throw one small tablet into 1 to 3 cubes of volume of the water in there and of the grease trap basically, and we just throw a tablet there, and that's done. That's once a week, maybe sometimes more, depending whatever how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing. It's um, like I said, there's 1 month here. Same for
Mm-hmm.
urinal down here. I'll jump into that topic as well. For
Mm-hmm.
urinal, like I said, it was 3 weeks. 3 week cleaning, yeah, 3 to 4 weeks, and you just clean because when
Yeah,
you eat out of the crystal, it just breaks down into water and CO2, and there's nothing left. So,
it's amazing. I mean, it's almost like a magical solution. But once you kind of get into the topic of bioremediation, you really rediscover that it's actually, being used in different perspectives, either with plants or fungi or bacteria in different ways. It's just not kind of being like mainstream. Mainstream. Not everybody knows that. It's not like frequently used, and it's so surprising. So another question to this would be, okay, you have this dosage, you have the problem. The problem is identified. You mentioned it's going to be pumped out. So where does the pumped out content grease go? And how much cost does it generate for the operators of, for example, a restaurant or yeah, I don't know. If you have an estimate, can be like a benchmark
yeah.
value.
Uh, I don't know about the pricing wherever, but we typically are competitive or cheaper than any kind of mechanical work. When we go back up here,
Mm,
when you have clogged piping, same goes for urinals here, like pipe like this. The grease just it's called struvite. That thing is a mineral and it just crystallizes inside. We can
mhm,
prevent that crystallizing because
mhm,
whenever it's done, it's very difficult to remove. We cannot do it so effectively, but that's extreme levels. Yeah, that's something that happens very slowly.
mhm,
Sometimes it's faster, but it's a huge problem. When this happens. Yeah, when the grease is turning into mineral, then it's nothing is working. Yeah, just pipes are falling apart somewhere and whatever. You have to snake it. Pipe snaking is basically you have something in here. You put the snake with. I'll do it differently. I'll show you one picture here on the Google now. pipe snaking. I'll show you whatever. This is the kit they are using typically. Yeah. So something like this.
Mhm.
And typically, there's a pipe and there's something in the end. This is very, very simple stuff, but whatever pipe snaking now with the razor or whatever, this is the different level that's being used. This is either with water pressure or there are some, wait, I'll put um, pipe razor or what, I don't know how to call it now, and it looks like a chainsaw. And okay, there's not it. It looks like a chainsaw. Basically, you put the chainsaw into the pipe that's somehow adjusted. Those chains from the chainsaw with the cutters and whatever. And you drill all the way from the top here wherever it goes, and you just try to break it down mechanically. What happens is when I will be pretty honest now, and we started with some
Always.
not so simple.
We appreciate it.
When you're
Sorry.
piping, when you're piping a toilet, normal toilet, those sheets are everywhere. They're on the walls, they're on the ceiling, they're
Oh,
on the floor, they're on people that are doing that. Same goes for
okay.
urinals. It's one of the dirtiest jobs ever. Yeah. You basically take this, start cutting it with razors that are
Mm-hmm.
circling around, and it just splashes everywhere. There is water, there is everything inside. It's a liquefied, some not liquefied, but there's water, and it's everywhere. It's absolutely dirty. You have to close the restaurant for 3 to 4 hours because someone is
Mm-hmm.
coming to snake those pipes and to clean them.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. It's typically expensive. The expensive part is that you have to close your thing. Yeah, closing the business is always very expensive. Whenever
Yep.
you have to do it, whatever is the reason. When everything is on the floor and on the walls, like urine and all the excrements, like when everything is just damaged with shits, then it's very difficult to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
The hygiene level is destroyed. That
Mm-hmm.
totally destroyed. There's just nothing left out of hygiene that you had before. You have
Mm-hmm.
to clean it, spray it with disinfection and whatever. You just have to do it, yeah, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that happen. Things like that happened with one of my customer. He told me that they had a restaurant in my hometown actually, and they had this problem with toilet. And he told me personally that whatever was there, it was everywhere. He was looking at them, and suddenly something fell in the pipe. Something just broke down because this is happening pretty often,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that was in those pipes they were clogged was everywhere, also on him, owner of of the restaurant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just they didn't know what to do after that. If they gonna clean themselves, whatever is there, or floor, ceiling, or whatever. Yeah, that's happening, and the work reduction in the end, also with small things like that. When it doesn't work, you just try to figure out whatever is happening there. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look that difficult, but the same guy with the restaurant, he fell into such a treatment plant, a small one in his home, and he said that he's afraid to go there anymore and whatever. I know a lot of people who spend every week in the treatment plants trying to figure out what's wrong, and they don't know how to move on with that.
Mm-hmm.
Bacteria are the solution because this is just a place that supports the bacterial growth. Yeah, that's it. Biologically we do most of the work. So I know it's up from the topic away, but yeah, these are things that can happen. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what
I
we
mean,
went through.
yeah. Going back to the case that you shared, basically it means a renovation work for your facility or restaurant or whatever. Because I mean, you have the cleaning cost, you have the time. Maybe you need to paint, paint the
Yeah.
place new. So it's quite a hassle to or a risk as well. So how often does this happening? I mean, how often is this so extreme that people kind of underestimate it? They don't have a clue. This is what can actually happen. Um, how often are you called to such extreme cases, or is it like maybe awareness level of people that yes, we can do something already? What do you experience in your
Yeah,
daily work?
these are standard systems. I call it standard system, has a standard maintenance and standard problems. Standard system is whatever you have, the basic piping. There is nothing else to innovate. Yeah, pipe is just pipe. There are of course things that can be done, but yeah, typically it's just working somehow. Then we have standard maintenance. Maintenance is either you use some bacterial products that really do whatever they should do, and they clean the stuff like this. They just eat it out and turn it into water and bacteria and just flow away. Or you call someone to clean it. You call them every month typically because that's how it works. Yeah, that's it. That's the way it works. The 1 month period is typical for 99% of everyone. Either it's a grease trap, either I know the oil separators, okay, they're not cleaned that often because people just don't care. But yeah, also this is just the pump. Yeah, sometimes the silvers are not perfectly aligned or whatever. You have hills in the city and whatever, so you have to put water because it flows down, yeah, by gravity. You have to put it up so it can flow down again from some different point. So this is also cleaned every month or whenever, because sometimes you have your cellars or whatever parts of hotel under the ground, under the road. It has to go up. You clean it every month. The problem with these places here, like the pumping and stuff, the lift stations, typically if they are in a room in some, wherever, you cannot put the car in there because you just cannot pump it out simply. Yeah? So maybe you cannot even go there at all, and that's a huge problem. Whatever we do with that is that we are not called to we like to go where the problem is, but for us it's not a difference. Now I'll stop sharing this picture for a second, and yeah, you see me dressed like this is how I go there. I just don't we don't have to do anything. Basically we just go there, throw tablet or throw put some powder inside, and that's our work. It's simple. You don't have to have specialized employee or special force to work with us. You just buy it and use it there. That's it. You don't have to care.
I mean, actually, I have a connected question. So, how does it then work? I mean, you have now this first treatment, the problem is solved. How long does it take to kind of that the problem builds up again, that you have some food for the bacteria to kind of throw them at, or let them eat it out? And can, for example, I mean, you also mentioned it, people working in the restaurant, like person responsible for keeping or maintaining the restaurant in clean and hygiene or quality hygiene conditions. Can they just work with the products that you give them with some kind of instruction or training, or you give them? I'm not quite sure. How does it work then? And how long do you support them?
Yes, of course. We support them however or whenever they need to.
We stay
When you need
together
something
forever.
yeah. You typically just call me and I'll tell you whatever you need to do. You don't need special workforce, like I said. You just use whoever you have, or you do it yourself. When we talk about this, I know that everyone. Okay, the business is built on a problem basis. The standardized business. I mean, you call someone when this is happening. When you see this, when you see this or this. Yeah,
Just a second.
but
Yeah.
yeah, you can see it now. Yeah, you
Yes. We can.
when this happens, when this is happening, or when you see something like that, yeah, that's when you call someone to clean it up. But maybe the question for people is, how many times per day do you clean plates? How many times per day do you go to toilet? How many times per day do you wash the floor, for example, or do something? You do it daily. You do it a lot of times per day, and this is just the build up. This is coming here every day. It just builds up after some time, and this is a critical level because it's full. Basically, these systems are not built to not work, come to critical level, get pumped out, and work again. Or however, when this is full, you don't see the grease is going away. The grease is just flowing out. When it's too much, these guys working on this place in the sewers, yeah, they will charge you a fine because you just putting too much grease into there. place. Yeah? And you see how big of a problem this is. This is 40-centimeter layer of grease,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like 15 meters behind. Yeah, there. That's the inlet into that part of the. This is again a lift station in a sewer.
Mm-hmm.
It's full. There are holes, whatever. So whenever there is a company, they make most of this because typical flats and people they don't have that much of waste there.
Mm-hmm.
So they will call you and they just charge you. And I've seen situations where shopping malls were almost closed because of the fines that were 10,000 euros per month.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doubled every month, and they ended up on 20 or 35,000 per month every month. They just got that fine. That was just ruining them down. Because the grease traps were there, they were not cleaned often, and
Mm-hmm.
you see this build up here, but there's always something going, through the water away, and there's a lot of that. So when we eat up the flow. We eat it up here, we eat it up behind it,
Mm-hmm.
we eat it up in the second grease trap that is connected to this one because there's not typically one, yeah, there are more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we work. So we clean the water. We work in the sewer as well. So if someone wants to charge you, you can show them we're using this and that. We have our grease traps clean. We know that we use it often, and they will see that the piping from your connection will be cleaner as well. So there is simple proof that is cleaner than other sources. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when you're using nothing, everything will be dirty. Your inlet, your outlets, the source, the sewer behind you, that's very simple. So we clean it every day. We just maintaining the colonies of bacteria there that eat out the waste, and we remove the waste as its source. Not just doing the symptomatic treatment that really doesn't work.
So, I mean, we always need to kind of go back to that point. Everybody's kind of scared. People sometimes have weird questions like, it's bacteria, it's living organism. First of all, does it have any impact on? I'm now gonna maybe say very direct questions. So, please bear with me, or yeah, who knows, maybe long-winded. Um, what are there any implications, first of all, on, can bacteria come back to, you put them in the sewer because they are living organism, they come back to the facilities very
Uh, I'll show
open.
you one different thing, but very interesting. This will answer your question very simply. I'll just show you one picture that we have. I just have to find it up on email very quickly. Bacteria don't move on themselves. They can move, of course, in the water somehow, but they cannot climb out of your drains. Yeah, they will just
Mhm,
don't not. And they live in water. They don't live in a dry space.
mhm,
We especially say that we are using natural bacteria and we are using beneficial bacteria. These are not pathogens or whatever. They don't attack living organisms because they feed on waste, organic waste. So whatever is dead, they will eat up. Whatever is alive, they will not touch. And
interesting.
just just 1 second, I need to find it. I don't know where it is. It's an additional picture of a project we were preparing for the sewer. Actually, you've seen the sewer here that I showed you. We are treating it right now, so that's pretty simple thing now.
Mhm,
I'm just looking for one picture. Ah, yeah, here it is. Okay, so
mhm.
now I'm showing it to you. This explains the question
Just a second.
everyone
Just a
asks,
second.
whatever you ask now. So now you
Okay,
should see it,
maybe
yeah,
bigger.
here.
If you would like to make it
So
a little bit bigger. Sorry, Philip.
yeah, I'll try
Maybe
to
if you
zoom
would like
it
to
up
make it.
somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
this is a sewer, yeah. We have a thing that's called a shaft in that. So this is a pipe, typically. It doesn't, okay, it's a circle, it's a scheme, okay. The pipe looks somehow, but the pipe at the bottom has this thing, it's called a shaft. And when we don't have enough water, the water is in the shaft, yeah, as you can see here. But there can be raining or whatever, the water level is increased and grease and debris and whatever kind of waste is above the shaft. Yeah, but in typical day, you know, the small circle here, yeah, half circle. This is a shaft. I will show you a picture. During a typical time, this is empty. This is dry or almost dry.
Mm-hmm.
There is some humidity, but there's no water. We have to increase the water level to touch the waste so the bacteria can start multiplying there. If the water doesn't touch it from the bottom, where we put the bacteria behind it, yeah, so it goes into those shafts, we cannot treat it. So we need to increase the water level so the bacteria that are in the water touch it, stay there, and multiply, so they will eat out the debris there above this. Yeah, I will show you a sewer shaft now, how it looks in the real life. Essentially, we can use whatever we want now, and we see everything here. Just be
Today we're gonna
looking
go a
for
little
that.
bit
So, sewer shaft. Okay, I'll put it in slow. In Poland we call it kineta. So that's the thing. That's how the sewer can look like from here. Okay, I don't see it. No, so when I put some kineta. Okay, it's not the best. This is a shaft. Okay, that's whatever I'm talking about. So this is the gray one. I'm trying to open it. Yeah, so that's it. And the waste is here on those tops. Yeah, on those those parts above. Water typically flows here. When the waste gets up there, then we need to eat it somehow. So we need to increase the water level to get there. So the bacteria work only with the water and only where the water can get. So they will not jump out of your drains. They will not jump out of your dishwashers or wherever. And the hot water in dishwasher would actually kill them. So we don't use it there. We use different kind of products in dishwasher.
Okay.
So that's. I hope it answers the question practically, so you can imagine whatever I'm talking about.
Thank you so much. And also, now you have an international presence. You work with projects basically in different countries. Is there any specific regulation? Are there differences how some countries manage water or put regulation on restaurants or hospitality?
Everyone has their own approach, of course. Typically, people don't care about how you do it, or sometimes yeah about some part, but typically what people care of is whatever is released into the water, how much of that, and if you fulfill the limits. Limits are different everywhere. Someone has higher, someone has lower limits, someone is caring a lot, someone doesn't care at all. The data in the world data or in the global is that 80% of untreated sewage is released into the oceans and rivers, which means 80% of all the wastewater we have is just going somewhere.
Isn't that
No
not?
touch, nothing else. Yeah. So yes, this is typical when you live next to the sea. Everybody knows about it. Those pipelines are just hidden under the ground, and the water flows. There's nobody cares. Then the sea smells like sewage, of course. I know we have this. It happens everywhere. That sometimes some part of sewage just comes back to the shore where you are on the vacation, and yeah, you don't want to go into that water too much. After that, or you just don't go to the direct to that holiday destination again because that's not the pleasant stuff. So I know it's a cost, and everyone treats wastewater like no cost, no whatever, just release it away and don't care. But we need to start caring because sewage is everywhere. It's in the potable water in America, in Europe, in places it shouldn't be. It's just there, and we need to do something about it. Yeah. Also, I will talk about wastewater more in the treatment plants and wastewater in general. We'll have this session, but there are too many problems with that we just don't care about, we don't know about, and we need to do something with them. So, with bacteria, we can remove 80% of the waste that we can remove almost 100% of the waste we can see. 99%, there's almost nothing left visible. The invisible parts like chemicals, very difficult to remove. We don't have solutions for that in general as humanity. For example, medicaments, pretty difficult, not almost impossible. They just come in some form and they leave the same form. Microplastics we can remove with different sources, mechanical treatment, but we can do that. Heavy metals, I mentioned before, we can remove with bacteria again. Oil, fog, whatever, organic waste, because oil and crude oil is organic material. We can eat it out. That's not a problem.
Mhm.
waste, sewage, normal things we can remove.
Mhm.
Next time, I think, or in a few weeks, we will be talking about maintenance. This is a very actual topic for me now because we work in Bulgaria on one project. We want to get it there into full country, and at the same time, almost with one big partner of ours, and there is a importance of using ecological stuff. Ecological and without chlorine isn't the same. I will
Mhm.
talk about it further. I will prepare some free stuff for download, as I
Mhm.
mentioned before. Like
Beautiful.
today, we have some free stuff to download.
Mhm.
And next time I will have this, I will talk about what is without chlorine, what is ecological, what is natural, what is harsh chemical, and these things because they kill our bacteria. We need something that's sustainable to remain those colonies, and we want to keep the water clean because we need it, yeah, somehow. So
Mhm.
yeah, again, I'm talking too much about story. Yeah. So I think it's worth mentioning something. So yeah.
Super, super. We also see a comment over here that microplastics we can remove. That's also going towards that direction, what you mentioned. So thanks a lot for also being with us. And yeah, definitely. I mean, we will go more into all the elements. And today we were talking about hospitality, but there was recently also this case in UK where it was a big scandal when basically the industry was just releasing, 100x amount of the declared or allowed levels of sewage into the water, any control. So is this a method, bacteria application, applicable also for other industries?
It's applicable for everyone. Yeah? Everyone is using water. Every industry, every production line, every food, hospitality sector. I'm talking about all of the sectors at once. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean that I know everyone and everything that exists, but we work with everyone and everything that exists here. I don't know how they work or whatever they do, but I know their water and wastewater, and I know what kind of problems they have there, what they are using, because you just get to these things, when you work with them, you get to know how you have to degrease the machinery after you produce, for example, an engine. There is a lot of grease, so you can cut those metal parts and make it into the shape or whatever. Those people know it from the industry. There is a lot of grease and there is a lot of degreaser. Degreaser is especially problem for us because it's typically a chemical. There are environmentally friendly degreasers now, natural products, because grease is typically from crude oil. It's a byproduct of gas or whatever you use, or diesels. So these things we can eat them out somehow.
Hmm.
It's making a huge problem. But yeah, again, I will talk about this environmentally friendly. Now you can see with me, you can see why the environment protection is part of my work. It's not something that here I am, I just want to protect the environment, I want your money. I have my work. We are treating waste. We remove waste from wastewater because the simple single problem of wastewater is waste. We want water and we want to remove the waste. That's it. There's two things. And when we want to do our work properly, we have to have some environment that is suitable for us, that allows us to work. So that's
Hmm.
it. It's just the natural part of our work to be ecological and environmentally friendly. That's how we work.
It's so cool because I mean, at Frogeex we are all around being connected to nature, and today we do some bonus time. But I did not wanted to cut you in the middle. Everybody can scroll back front, how they need it, what is interesting for them. So we're all about this, connected to nature. Sometimes not a straight line. Many times you have a discussion. You need to even do compromises, but we're very transparent about what, and that's the goal. We want to be transparent and share with you information on what you can do, what are the pluses and the minuses, so you get the best option for you. But I really appreciate what you're saying because the technology, the natural technology which you are using, bacteria and the colonies, it's as what you said, and it's many times something people do not know, do not understand, that it enables you, or it also is a prerequisite for you to work in an environmental friendly way. So I really love that. Super, super, Philip. Last question before we cut off. But I see you have maybe a comment on
I
that.
will have
Sorry.
one comment. I will tell you just one thing that I wanted to mention. I got a question in Bulgaria now last week that we have our limits. We are not. I'm not a godlike person who can do just everything, and smiles, or whatever. Our limits are there. They wanted to clean some rainwater and basically roofs on top of shopping malls and stuff. When it rains for 2-3 days, they get it blocked, and it's next to the sea. Typically, there are seagulls. These are dots that we have to connect somehow, and you never know about this until you work with them. Seagulls just take trash on the top of the roofs or everywhere they live. They are trash collectors. They eat everything they can. So they are dead rats, cats, whatever kind of hamsters, I don't know what they can find, some lizards, anything. They will just put it on the top, kill it, and eat part of it. They can eat a cat, seagull, what you see in the movies, that's eating some small fish or whatever. They collect whatever. They just collect and put it somewhere. And then they put a lot of shit over there and whatever. They're messy as hell. Whatever this does, those cats, rats, whatever, lizards, fish, and whatever is there, goes into the drains, on top of the water pipes from the rainwater. It gets clogged. It needs to be removed somehow. And whatever happens, the problem is not that the rainwater is standing there. Of course, this is the main problem as well, but the problem is the clog. Yeah, the clogs are very bad, and you can clean it up, but when you treat it mechanically, there is no other way for this. We cannot just eat out the dead cat in a week or in 2 days because we just can't. Yeah, that's too much. That's it's not liquefied or whatever. So yeah, so we cannot just eat a dead cat. In 3 months we can, but the bones will still remain. But you have to clean it mechanically. The problem with the grease trap, with the roofs, with everything, is that you call me, come and clean it up because you have the machinery for that. And I say, okay, but I have worked for 7 days and I can come in a week or 2. So for 7 days, you get water on the top of the roof to 20-30 centimeters. And of course, the water finds its way. And the rooftop, with all the waste there is, the garbage mixed into the water, there are a lot of pathogens, a lot of bacteria that are damaging and they are dangerous. All that starts leaking into the place because the water just finds a way, through the roof, and it all just dripping down there. And this is the dangerous part. So we can help in some way, prevent whatever with the water on top, but we cannot do the mechanical stuff. The problem is the mechanical stuff, guys. They just might not have time. And what? Yeah, no.
I mean, last comment, and then I would close off this session. Amazing, 47 minutes. We need to stop this great discussion, have it on another time. We are on Frogeex platform. You find also combinations, and we have also between the partners, we see combinations where the solutions can be combined. So, for example, you have a mechanical drainage system, whether for the city, perfect. I have my kids also around, so if you see them, you will know. And so we can combine this. So if you have questions, if you have something that you are maybe just wondering, how you could solve this in a better way, please reach out. Thank you so much for your time today, Philip. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. We're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have any questions or any comments, just drop us a comment over there or a question, and we see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me today. Yeah, thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.